Welcome everyone. We are here with Mikey Berglas. So Mikey, for people who don't know you, give us a quick version. Who are you and what are you doing now?
My name's Mikey Berglass. I grew up, born and raised in Scarsdale, New York. Was campus manager in college, and now I'm working in the fashion industry.
More specifically, where are you right now?
Yeah, I'm currently at the Gap. I'm a merchant for men's sweaters and knits, specializing in the outlet business. Before that, I was a buyer at Ralph Lauren. Yesterday was actually my 1 year at Gap, so really just getting into it.
First little milestone. You were a former campus manager. Can you tell us about your time as a campus manager? How long were you there? How long did you do it for? And where were you?
Yeah, so pretty simple. The story goes, I joined a fraternity in 2018, and right away when I joined, I was probably maybe the only, but the most passionate person when it came to clothing and custom apparel specifically. And so pretty quickly, I started doing custom apparel for my organization. And really quickly, I started working with Fresh Prince as they were the local people that everyone used on campus.
And before then, before you became a campus manager, how would you describe yourself back then?
I was definitely young and wild to a sense. I didn't know what I wanted to do in life in any capacity. I was a psych major and graduated that way, and really just knew that in some way I wanted to work with people. I wasn't sure how that was, working with consumers and people in one way or another just felt like the path, but I had no idea what I was going to do.
When this idea of becoming a campus manager presents itself, what made you say yes? Because it is a different kind of role. You would agree now,
Yeah.
many years later. There has to be had something in you that made you say yes. Was it the challenge? Was it the fact that it was something different? Was it the fact that somebody just convinced you? Or was it the fact you wanted to get into fashion? What went through your mind at the time?
Yeah, a piece of me really did want to be into product and fashion, so it felt like a natural approach there. But really, I just felt like I could. I understood that it was going to take hard work and that I would, to some degree, be owning a business. I just felt as if at the time I understood the consumer around me and the type of product they were looking for and thought that I'd be the best at it. So when the opportunity presented itself, I kind of just jumped.
You had no doubts.
I mean, I think from day one, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. It started really when I got into the training where I was like, all right, this is going to be robust. This is going to be real work. And I think that's what made it the most fulfilling. The training is something that I actually reference to nowadays. I loved how in depth it was. I just felt so connected to like true business ideas. Having been that psych major, I hadn't been studying traditional business. So learning about cold approaching people, how many times it takes, being resilient, working in a system for the first time, stuff like this was all really fresh to me. And it felt real and it felt exhilarating at say the least. And really quickly, it kind of picked up. I did become the person on campus that did merch, and it was fulfilling.
And going back to the training content, which I am so shocked that you still remember some of it today, 8 years later, what about the training content, made you understand what you were signing up for? That it was a real job, a real deal with real customers, with real problems, real stakes? Because that's a pretty big realization to have early on for something that you didn't even know what you were signing up for.
Yeah, I really thought it was going to be simple. I'm working back and forth with people. An artist was making me something, and I would basically put out an order. But the training was really in depth. I was sending out fake emails to people. I was putting together what would be my clients for the future. I was really building the framework for the business. And as I started seeing my warm and cold leads, I realized how much potential there was that was bigger than me just like having the ability to do orders at my leisure. I really was able to create them for myself. And so when I realized that it was more of a business approach than just a pastime, just something that I had under my belt, is really what made me think twice. And then the other thing I really loved was what it taught about resilience. That stuck out to me really quickly because it talked about the success of reaching out to people 4 or 5 times sometimes and how getting that order is the success in that situation. That being that person comes with reaching out to people 4 times sometimes, and that may be your biggest order. So just that overall resilience, the framework of working hard and seeing that I was building my own business really showed me.
Yeah, that's for sure. A lot to have on your plate at 19 years old, but also very exciting and very challenging. I think that the campus managers who see it that way are those who can put away and put aside these fears of rejection and these fears of annoying people or confidence issues as well. How and when did it click for you that resilience was something that you were going to institute in your habits? Was it an order that came through that you weren't expected? Was it an answer after 7 messages to someone that they finally, responded to you? Where did you see that final product that made you understand that, yes, this is the way and this is how I'm going to build myself?
Yeah, I think that at first I read that and I was almost skeptical. I was like, 5 times you're reaching out to somebody, that is annoying. And then I did it probably within my first 2 to 3 orders. I was reaching out to all of my contacts as many times as possible. And those were the orders that had been the best. I think what I realized quickly was after my first few orders, people want to be, in a sense, shown how to do the apparel. And a part of working with a Fresh Prince campus manager is convenience. And so sometimes reaching out those extra times actually is beneficial in this terms of to that person. Like they don't know which approach they're going to take. And okay, this guy's reached out to me 4 times. I'm going to give him a shot. And with the rest of the training, I just felt like I was offering something good and it always stuck. And when the orders hit is when you know, like when you reach out to someone 5 times, you feel annoying, but then you've made money on that built in a customer and are working on your second order. You're not thinking about maybe I was annoying them for a day. Maybe I reached out one too many times because now you built a relationship with this person.
Definitely. It's not always all successes, right? It's not always people ultimately responding to and leading up to an order. Do you remember that first real, this is tougher than I thought moment?
Yeah, I think I jumped into it thinking I knew all my contacts. And once those really started to run dry from people I actually knew, I'm over here reaching out to somebody's friend's friend, getting ignored, writing to them on a Thursday at 9 p.m. Do you know when your next philanthropy event is? Things like that, and getting no responses and understanding it potentially almost made me stronger. I almost feed off of the rejection as a reason to find the solution. So, yeah, I think probably as many times as I was winning, I was being ignored. I was having people telling me they're actually not sure what they want to order or that they didn't want to do the work for it or giving me the wrong person. And really, that didn't slow me down. It just kind of sped me up.
Yeah, and that's a mindset thing, and I think almost like a personality thing, right? That you definitely had from the beginning. But speaking about rejection specifically, how did each rejection get you closer to, you know, the campus manager you wanted to be? And secondly, how does each rejection get you closer to knowing that customer to potentially turning that into a yes as well?
Yeah, every rejection showed me what they didn't want. Every rejection taught me that really quickly being candid was my best friend, and it kind of slowed down the rejections because I took a kind of personal approach where I was just always told my clients, be honest with me. I want you to tell me what you like and what you don't like. Like, I'm curious what you're going to reject, because understanding what the person doesn't want is sometimes 60% of what they do want. Often simplicity wins, especially in custom apparel. And so these rejections really framed how I took the next order into approach, things that people were liking. I really tried to find patterns in the best ways I could to ensure seamless futures.
Did rejection always feel like that, like motivating to you, or did it early on kind of bother you, or did it create doubts in your mind?
I'd like to say it bothered me a bit, but not so much. Like I really do feel fueled up by that. I do feel that sometimes the people who are rejecting you want to work with you. And so it just made me want to show them. And quite frankly, I believe and believed at the time that I was going to be the right person for them to work with. I was always really impressed with Fresh Prince artists, their capabilities, the products they were able to source. So that confidence of knowing that I was likely the best person for them to work with made that rejection a bit easier because I felt passion towards proving them wrong.
Your first big mistake.
My biggest mistake was something that I took forwards with me the rest of my career, not just because of how the mistake was made, but how it was fixed. So we had done an order, and part of that multi-piece order was a tie-dye set. And something I'd never accounted for was that different garments may receive dye differently. So we actually were tie-dyeing them ourselves as Fresh Prints. That was like a service they were offering at the time. And we did it on 2 different garments, a sweatshirt and a pair of pants to make a matching set. And when it came in, I started getting texts from the girl who did the orders, like, these are different colors. Like the white in the tie-dye was slightly different. And so it took to the dye wrong. And all of these, for the most part, were messed up. Like separately, the pieces worked well, but I mean, I'm sitting here with like this whole big order and every piece doesn't match. And by working with the people above me at the company and finding solutions, we were able to have people reorder the correct ones at a discount. I think we were able to refund a piece of that order or give credit to the next order. And we were able to actually work in a way that helped build in the next order and build in trust for the person that was working with us, because the mistake was fixable, but not if you didn't know that it was coming.
I imagine it is those big mistakes that make you really feel really truly bad for the customer that kind of shape your habits and the things that you do moving forward. What was that initial feeling when you got that text or that phone call from your customer? You probably wanted to hide under a table first, but then
Yeah, I was,
what?
I was upset. I was not pleased, to say the least, because I felt that it was avoidable to a degree. Like, I wished that I'd asked to see the garment. I'd wished that I had asked for maybe even a version for myself, some sort of quality control that could have been done. Because no matter whose fault it may have been, uh, in reality, it was my order to the person I was working with. It was my order, and I had messed it up, and now I had to fix it. And so I was pissed. I was not happy at first, but I took that internally and kind of used that as more fuel to figure out that solution, to work with the right people, because I didn't find that being angry at anybody was going to get me further, at least not in solving the situation. And at that time, my main goal is just to solve it.
And that was a big mindset shift for you moving forward.
Yeah, I didn't even expect it to happen. I assumed that the second I pressed place order that my job was done, that I just had to make sure it was shipping to them and it was going to do it perfectly. I didn't really take these outside factors into mind that are so prevalent now in business. Getting to see things like tariffs, how they impact you in real time in current business that I'm working in is interesting. There's outside factors that will not be your fault necessarily, but that doesn't mean that you don't have to solve for them. It was a big mindset shift, but it really helped me for the better.
Yeah, it's about understanding that there's a certain level of control that you can have over things, right?
Exactly.
Some of them you might have like 100% control over, some of them you might have 80% control over, but it's about maximizing that control that you have over these factors. And when things happen like that, you understand that there's a lot of power in how you can control these things. And ultimately, without dealing with real problems and real stakes and real situations like this, it's really difficult to learn as a college student that your actions and your habits and your work ethic has a profound effect on the way that a customer experience turns out to be. So I'm sure that was a big moment for you and something that taught you a lot and that you use further down the road. Talk to me a little bit about your relationship with your BDM. Who were they? Did you have multiple? You can talk about multiple ones if you had multiple ones. And what were some of the things that stuck with you the most that they taught you?
Yeah, so my BDM actually worked as a partner with me often. His name is Danny Barry, which I hope he's doing well. I should honestly reach out to him. Him and I catch up every now and then. We still have a relationship, but on and off these days as friends.
Shout out
Yeah,
to
he is.
Danny is pre my time at Fresh Prince, but I've heard his name many times all over the place.
Yeah, he is amazing to say the least. Like, he really embodied a Fresh Prince manager. He really was passionate about the brand and the capabilities that we had and my work. So his ability to kind of frequently check in with me, being a college student, it is very easy to be busy and not think about doing work when you're doing your other work. It is very easy to be frustrated with an order with somebody because you think that the client may not be being fair to you, but you still have to push through. And having Danny to check in with me weekly, sometimes bi-weekly, ground me. What are we working on? What are your goals for the week? It was huge. I mean, it was night and day difference between what the experience could have been and what it was, because him and I built this really great friendship where we thrived off of doing business together. We were like excited, like we were writing to each other just as happy as we were writing to a client. Are you doing this? And yes. And he was there to support me when I had questions. He was there to help me place an order if I wasn't there at the moment to do it. Like, he was worked as a partner to me, and it was something that to this day I'm grateful for. And honestly, I'm going to reach out to him after this. I hope he's doing good.
That's great. I'm glad that this interview made you realize how much you needed, and you wanted to reach out to Danny.
Yeah, I
at the
know.
same time.
It's been like a year or two. Him and I check in on each other like here and there just because we really were good friends. Like, it was, I think part of what gave me that drive was his drive. His almost blind belief in himself gave me that blind belief in myself. And that's what kind of got me through the finish line on the tough orders, the long nights, or the client that sent back a design 4 times to change the shape of a door at a house. Just those little moments, his passion really bled through.
Yeah, and how important it is, to your earlier mention of being a college student, having somebody that has the passion that you aspire to have, has the passion that you admire, and that you want to ultimately be like. Correct? You mentioned it, that you wouldn't have been the same if Danny wouldn't have been Danny for you.
I mean, 1000%. Yeah, he was a hugely influential person to how I approach business now. I'll always be passionate. even to a fault at times, because I believe that being fully into something is what it takes. I believe that putting your full heart into it is the difference. And Danny really showed me that. And to this day, I live that in my everyday.
Speaking of these habits and these things that you learned through the role, what were some of the things that you had in mind as to like, this is what an excellent campus manager does? What did that actually look like for you? Did you define it at any point? Ultimately, how did you use all of that to build your business on campus?
The people that had worked at Syracuse before me had done really big orders and were really amazing. I forget her name now. Ashley Roth is her name, and she had been the person before me. And her success and the amount of orders she had done really drove me. To me, success was in completing orders, was building relationships, was having clients that people didn't think do custom apparel, finding that one person in the organization that nobody said you could find. And she was really good at that. I was very impressed with, I imagine she even might have done more at her time there than I did, because she was so really good at it. And I will say, I worked through COVID, but yeah, she was amazing. And so her natural success and the way that she worked with me when I was just somebody making the apparel for my organization really kind of gave me that image. And then the other thing that really always stood out to me was Jacob's story. The idea that Jacob was a lot like me in many ways, and the way that he grew up, and that he was just a kid who went to WashU and started a business. And I love that. It was almost exhilarating to me too. Like, wow, this guy is doing almost his own thing completely, and I can have a piece of that. Like, I can be helping build this image. And at the time it was smaller, so it felt a little bit cooler too. But seeing the size of it now, it just makes so much sense. I saw it from the beginning, the groundwork that they all put in. And yeah, so to be even a piece of that seemed like a big goal for me.
Yeah, I mean, you were not in the early days, but 2018
No.
was still pretty early in Fresh Prince's history. So I think you're someone, Mikey, and I'm getting the sense of that you kind of have these North Star people that you look up to and learn a lot from. Whether it was Jacob, or whether it was Danny, or whether it was the girl who was your counterpart at Syracuse, and you try to imitate them in a way that in the things that you admire from them the most. And can you speak a little bit about the value of being exposed to people like that early on in your life that inspire you to be the best version of yourself?
Yeah, I'm happy to speak on this. And it's advice that I give to any person starting their career. And I do it to this day, and I do it at my own job now. And it's that people that have lived your experience or similar ones tend to have really good advice. That the way to learn often is to do it yourself, and who's better than to ask the people that have done it? I don't think that any one person will give you the answers. I don't think that I could have ever been one of these people that was a mentor to me. But I always knew, I mean, really after I'd started, that value that I got from learning firsthand from people, seeing Danny do an order, working with Ashley to do my order, and seeing how diligent she was with my designs, and the way that she came back to me when we couldn't do a copyright, but it was my favorite thing at the time. And it was all very inspiring. It led me to, in my career now, on a very frequent basis, I'm reaching out to people, all aspects of the industry, my company, random people. And when younger people reach out to me, I do the same. I always take the call. I always have the conversation. I never shut myself out to an opportunity to pick somebody's brain, as I'll say. I just have a firm belief that people that have experienced things firsthand have the best advice. So
Yeah,
that's really, I mean, and getting to do that at Fresh Prince was really lucky.
yeah, for sure. And how did you, when you moved into your next chapter in your life as a post-college graduate, what were the most immediate skills and habits that you had that you realized that other people in your job, in your surroundings didn't?
Yeah, right off the bat, it was the ability to connect in an interview. I was so used to talking to people that I had to sell myself to. This is why you should work with me. This is what you're missing in the business. This is how I can fill that gap. And it was a big piece of how I got my first job. I really took that approach of how can I offer myself? How can I sell myself to work with these people? And I did it. I really researched the brand, and I looked at what initiatives they were doing. And I saw that they were clearly doing a lot of this one style. And so I could tell that they likely invested in, and I spoke to that. And I'd only learned this really just from, again, selling myself to people in the past. So that was easily the first and biggest thing that I learned from it, and to this day pays off.
Yeah, it's like in terms of like reaching out to a client, it's about doing research and learning who your client is. In this case, it was your job, your future employer, right? And like, okay, what are they investing in? How do they portray themselves? What are their, top priorities? And you did your research because you knew that you had a better chance of closing that deal, that interview, if you knew more about your future employer. And that's not something that is really taught. It's something that you learned through your own experiences in working with so many clients as a campus manager.
Yeah, it's one of those things you can only get from experience, and you can only practice with experience. There's no mock interviewing with people that is the same as the pressure you feel in the moment. And so, having experienced that so much, having faced that rejection face on hundreds of times, I wasn't so nervous. I was really just confident in selling myself to them. These are all unbelievably true. And all of them is that the reason that I feel so passionately about the brand to this day, and the reason that I look forwards to helping that whenever Yolite sends somebody to me, hey, this person wants to work in fashion, or vice versa, or I see somebody who reaches out to me, they were, let's say, a Fresh Prince campus manager. I have many coworkers who are Fresh Prince campus managers, by the way, but
No way.
it,
That's incredible.
yeah, for sure. I mean, it is, I really do think they built a great business. I think that Fresh Prince does offer really great quality. I think that the artists are great. Like, I don't see why somebody would work with somebody else. But not even just that. I think it's because they're so good that I'm always willing to like be there. Like, I'll always be an advocate for them because I believe in the business they built.
Yeah, and we're
It's
definitely
crazy.
hugely appreciative of that. And it goes without saying that all this stuff is extremely inspiring to me and to everyone who's going to be hearing this. And when we talk to college students who are at 18, 19 years old, and you would try to choose someone who is perfectly designed for this role, right? And now that you have a Monday morning quarterbacking here, when you look back and say like, this is based on my experience, these are the perfect attributes and characteristics of a student that are going to be crucial to them succeeding. Who is this role actually designed for?
Really, I think this role, at least from my own experience, is designed for the type of person that is willing to push themselves out of their comfort zones, but also the type of person that is a leader in a sense. It's not somebody who isn't going to work hard. It's not somebody who is taking this kind of just to take it, because the people that are successful at this are the people that put the energy back in. Yeah, I'm sure there's tons of people who sign up to be a campus manager, realize they didn't actually want to do work, and it's not for them. It's not to say that it's for the number one student person that's worked their hardest every day of their life and is the most academically smart person. Not at all. It's for the person that wants to work the hardest. It's that person that finds drive in building their own success rather than maybe doing somebody else's. It's not about just having a job. It's about building your own business within this job.
Oh, that sounds like extremely intimidating, right? Like working hard and making your own decisions and building yourself up and building your business. If someone feels intimidated on the other side of here, what would you tell them?
Well, first thing I would tell anybody is, I guess it might be harsh, but I think that life is intimidating. I think that things are scary, and it's not for everybody. There are people that have different skill sets that could make them great at things that are completely different. Maybe you're an artist in a different type of way, or you're a mathematician in a way, and maybe it's not for you. But what I'd say is you're going to work hard no matter what, and that's your decision when you want to start to do that. Life is not easy. It takes hard work. And if this is the type of thing that even seems like your calling, it's out there for you to test it. You don't have to stay with it. No one's tying you to this job. You are still in college, but it's your destiny to make.
Yeah. Was it all worth it, Mikey?
Uh, was it worth it? Is easy for me to say yes. I really did learn skills that I never would have learned outside of Fresh Prince. It pushed me to get into fashion in a way that I never probably would have. It made me question myself and being rejected and reaching out to people that I felt uncomfortable to in truly uncomparable ways. And I, on a very regular basis, think back to it. I mean, even as simple as when I was interviewing, I got to speak on owning my own business. I think that a lot of these points that I'm saying today, like I say in an interview right now, like if I were to interview for another job at my company, I would tell them I worked at Fresh Prince and I drove revenue by understanding my consumer, building lines for them that I thought would be smart, and then doing that action and placing those orders for myself. That while people get summer jobs in college, I got to work through my 4 years of college and do my summer job. and it made me stand out. And I think that to this day, it makes me stand out as the type of person that does work when it isn't expected, that is willing to take the extra step. And for those reasons, like, it just feels more and more worth it every day. Getting to come back here and like talk to you and feel a part of a community, getting to walk into the office and talk to a friend who is a campus manager back in the day, or their sibling is a campus manager, or they worked with a campus manager, like just kind of makes you feel at home in a way that I guess I never would have expected. So it was definitely worth it.
Love that. And it does make you feel part of this community. And it's a community that you feel very proud to be a part of.
Yeah.
There aren't a lot of people that walk out of school saying that they ran six-figure businesses as undergrad college students. That is going to stand you out more than
For real.
anything, more than what your GPA could look like, more than your other academic accomplishments. Ultimately, you're someone who dealt with with real customers, real problems, making your own decisions, being the owner of your own work, like pushing yourself to do the work. Probably a common misconception is that you're going to have people always pushing you to do the work that you need to do, but ultimately it needs to come from within, right? No one's going to force feed you or force you to do anything. It needs to come from within, and understanding that that's a real responsibility, a real skill is essential early on. It is going to be a much harder habit and skill to develop later on in life.
Yeah. I mean, I feel so lucky that I got to do it at a young age. I feel so lucky that I get to talk about it and actually have built those skills. Like sometimes I pat myself on the back. I'm like, thankfully I did that. Like I feel in moments that, I mean, again, like I graduated 2021, so I came out of COVID, and really it stood me out from people because not a lot of people had jobs. A lot of people were actually absent of jobs at that time. They didn't have even summer internships. And here I am grinding through college, working through the pandemic. And, it paid off. I still, again, to this day, think that it speaks volume to my character whenever I'm telling somebody my story, whenever I reach out to somebody random on LinkedIn and they tell me the 10-minute story about you. I started working here, and then in college I did custom apparel and built my own business and created lines and looked at it in an abstract way. It really builds to this image and this person that I'm trying to create of myself. The leader that I hope to be one day could never have been what it will be without that base.
For sure. You'll be interviewing for jobs at 55, Mikey, and still mentioning Fresh Prince. Like, I have no doubt about that. I'm not saying it's a joke.
No, I really think so too. I mean, it's such a good opportunity to take. Like for the right person, the one who's going to do that hard work. Like if you know that you're that person, I mean, it's standing there calling your name. So it's pretty amazing.